Okay, so here's the wood hop trellis from last year, the 2020 season. You can see I used a sisal twine that I rooted underneath the hop root ball, and just trying to give you a good look at it here, but it's about 18 feet from the ground to the top, and I braced it against the fence using some wood supports there. And so here it is from a distance, and initially everything looked pretty good. And as we can see, okay, the vine is climbing, but look at the top wood bend, and bend, continue to bend as the hop climbs. And here we are at the end of the season. Thank goodness it didn't fall over, but it bent too much. So that brings us to this year, the 2021. We're going to redesign the whole trellis. And so what I'm thinking is, I'm going to do 18 feet above ground. Again, I'm going to use metal instead of wood, and I'm going to cement it 2 feet into the ground so that it's more stable. So let's see what it looks like here. So there we go, our hop started. A couple weeks later, not even, it's already coming out of the ground a lot more. So let's get started by digging a hole. Okay, probably about mid-May, the hops are coming up pretty good, and okay, we gotta dig a hole. Good, no, there's already a hole here, so that's convenient. I wonder how big it is. Let's test with this bucket. Okay, sure enough, the bucket fits in. There's still a few inches deeper, and it gives us an idea of the size of the hole. Now let's get some materials. So I got some Quickcrete post-haste cement, and I've got that little tiny pulley. Look at that pulley, that little tiny pulley and fastener here from last year, but I'm going to have to make it a little bit different, aren't I? You know what? I'm going to use Galvanized Top Rail for the whole trellis. It's about $12, 62 cents for each 10-foot section. And so now what I need to do is build the footing using some galvanized pipe that's just a touch bigger in its cross section than the galvanized fence top rail. All right, so I've got my footing piece, but now I'm going to use some rebar. What am I going to use the rebar for? Well, I need some support, don't I? I don't want it to move around in the cement. Okay, so time to mark the footing. All right, showing the levels. There we go, pretty rough, but gives me an idea of where it needs to be. And just so I remember which end is the end going in the ground, there we go, some marks. All right, I'm going to drill it out now, but I'm drilling it out just so I can fit in that rebar. So pilot hole, then a 3/8 drill. And finally, I need it to be a little bit bigger, so I have to use these step drills that I have. And keep stepping it out until it fits the rebar, which I think is about a 5/8 or 3/4 inch rebar. All right, and let's use a little bit more muscle here. There we go. So that's going to be the end going in the concrete. This is going to give it way more support so it doesn't spin on me. All right, but I don't want the whole thing to fill with cement when I put it in, so let's put some duct tape on and prevent that from filling up. All right, see the test here. Our top rail goes in, slides nicely into the footing, and I marked the top rail. Don't have to do that, but I put a little bit of gravel in, and now it's time for cement. I can mix it pretty fast, apparently. All right, now it's time to do the important bit. I have to put the post in and cement it into place. There's our first bag. Alright, let's put in the post now. And to get it kind of situated where I need it to be, I'll do the leveling after. Alright, so this was two bags at the same time. So now we have 3 bags in. We have just, as I smooth it out, I can see I can fit one more bag to level it to the ground. And the last one. Beautiful. sure I get it all. Beautiful. Okay. So, time to smooth out that cement, taper it from the middle out down to the side so that water can run off. Oh, there's my wife coming to say hi. And now I'm going to be leveling, making sure that this footing is nice and level. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to drill this wood in and secure it. That way when I do move it around, I can make sure it's level as it dries. Alright, check it with spirit level all over. Looking good. Lots and lots of minutes. So now I'm going to be doing the tapering. So I'm going to rise it up in the middle and then taper it off to the side so that water doesn't pool. Not necessarily necessary in this instance, but I thought it would look good. There's the next day and it's dried overnight. Beautiful. Test it with the shovel. Everything's good. Let's pull off the wood now. And she's good to go. Just fill it up with some dirt. Didn't even know cement was there in the first place. Now what we really have to do is build the trellis itself. So I've got my galvanized top rail. Look what I've built, eh? So now that's going to be our cross piece at the top. And I'm just doing some pilot holes as I prep to install the cross piece that's going to hold onto the pulley. Up next is the step drills again. So drill it out like I did last time for the rebar, but this time just got to fit this big piece of ready rod. Alright, but now the problem is I need to build a bracket that prevents the cross piece at the top from bending, right? So I just got some flat bar and I'm going to roughly bend it into the shape I need it to be. Alright, that's the one side and a little bit more maybe, just a touch more. And now the other end where it's going to secure to the cross piece itself. Alright, you'll see what I mean when I hold it up next to the trellis. And there we go. See how it is? It's going to drill, so the cross piece is going to go right through it, and then the bottom part of that bracket's going to drill right into the trellis. Alright. This is just a design I came up with. Hopefully it works. Here we are. Just using some washers to center everything up, make sure I'm drilling it at the proper spots. Pencil doesn't work so good, so I have to hold it while I drill. And there we go. Secured into the top rail. I drilled it through and it's just nutted and secured up to that cross piece, and look at that. Now you could hang a couple 100 pounds off of that without anything snapping. Why not a little bit of paint, eh? So I just wanted to dress it up a little bit. Now you can see that eye bolt, it's running through the back on an angle. All that is a guide. So once the rope comes up the railing, up the rail, it's going to pass through that eyelet and keeps the rope back towards the trellis rather than hanging where the vine's going to grow. Okay, so everything's painted, everything's secure and tight. Look at that. Something to be proud of, I think. Hopefully it works. Alright, now we have to bolt the two top rails together because remember we need to be 18 feet above ground, 20 feet total because 2 feet are going to be in the ground inside of that pedestal that I cemented into the ground. So I'm going to use this 4 or 5 foot piece of galvanized pipe to secure the two top rails together and add some real bolster support. There's going to be a lot of pressure on that seam as it bends over, so I'm just going to bolt through both of the pipes together on both ends. There we go, bolt it up. Bolt it up. And nice and tight. And look at this. Thread the rope before you install because how are you going to get up there? You can't have a big ladder leaning against it. So here's the rope threaded through the pulley, threaded back through that little eyelet that I installed on the rail. Keeps the rope nice and away from where the vine's going to be growing. Alright, I didn't show you putting it in just because it took a little bit of maneuvering, but there you go. I slid it into the pedestal, and here's everything before it's been fully bolted down. They're like a crane in the air, right? That's sort of the design I was thinking of. And now I've got my my rope. So before I have to secure it to this footing, secure it to the pedestal so it doesn't twist on me. One bolt should be fine. And notice now I made a second bracket, very much like the top one, almost exactly the same. And this is where the bottom of the rope is going to secure, just where the vine starts to grow. So there it is. I use an eyelet similar to the one at the top, and no pulley necessary, mind you. And I built this 45-degree angle bracket to secure it as well. So there you go. The top looks kind of like the bottom, right? On like a mirror's image of one another. There we go. So this is it. It's been made. Now all I have to do is secure the rope. Now I drilled in these two little supports here, galvanized hooks, and that's going to be where the rope can attach. Alright, so there it is. Tighten the rope and secure. So the rope has been threaded on the one end where the hop's going to grow up, and now I'm just getting sufficient tension. Doesn't need too much, mind you. And secure the rope so I can lower it when the hops are ready. There you have it. All done. Now I just got to wait for the hops to grow. Okay, we're probably about a week later now. The hops have started to train themselves up the rope as they do. Alright, now let's see what happens as time goes by. There's a couple weeks later. Now we're into June here, aren't we? Look how far we're growing up the trellis. And here we are, friends. We're in mid-July. The hops have grown all the way to the top. They probably went about 25 feet, actually, and then bent over and continued growing in a ball at the top. So here we are. The hops have successfully trained themselves up the rope. Now I'm going to show you the trellis here. It did pick up a little bit of a bend, if you can see it there at the top. Probably a couple inches. But everything's been really good so far. So what I'm thinking is, next year I'll just rotate the trellis pipe around and it can bend itself back straight again. But here we are. That's the 2021 Hop Trellis revised version. Here it is at a distance. So we gave up on wood. Now we're using galvanized fence top rail. Everything's worked pretty good for a couple of months, and we're only really a month away from harvest time. So I'll post another video showing lowering the rope, showing how the trellis survived when I get to my harvest ale at the time to harvest these Chinook hops. And you know what? Everything's worked out really good so far, and I'm just happy with the design concept, given that it's a small space and I didn't have the ability to put up a really big trellis and that kind of thing. So thanks for watching, folks, and like I said, I'll keep you in the loop with the next video series on how this trellis worked, how the hops did, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully I don't have to put up another one next year. Alright, cheers to y'all. Bye-bye.